Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Soccer Shack. I'm Max Weidman. I'm here in the studio with Patrick Garber and Will Hoffman, and we're here talking about some Premier League soccer.
What's up?
Let's get it.
So we had a big week last week with a lot of games coming up from the Premier League. Chelsea Hotspurs, Brunley AFC Bournemouth, Sheffield United versus Brighton, Leicester City, Man City, and Man U and Watford, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Patrick, why don't you start us off with some of the big highlights?
All right, so one game that I would like to especially highlight was actually the first game from Matchweek 27. Chelsea ended up beating Tottenham Hotspur. It was a score of 2-1. Olivier Giroud, former Arsenal man, picking up the first goal there for Chelsea to get it underway. Then Marcos Alonso bagged himself a goal right after the break at halftime. And then there was this big call here. Giovanni Lo Celso ended up stomping on Chelsea's captain, Cesar Azpilicueta. It went to VAR review. The referee didn't even give a card for it, which obviously, it was mind-boggling because we've talked about it in the past. These guys have been sent off in the past. Just terrible, terrible calls. So yes, Lo Celso came in, stomped on Aspie's leg. They went to VAR, and VAR said there's no foul. So the game carried on, and then 20 minutes later, so after the game had ended, VAR came out and said they made this big mistake and Lo Celso should have been sent off. And yeah, they didn't even further the punishment after the fact. Like most times, what would happen is if there was like a refereeing decision and someone came in, studs up, or let's say, and it was a yellow card. So this is like past years. They would get a yellow card, and then the FA would review it after the game. And if it was a yellow card, it would stay a yellow card. If they thought it was deemable offense of a red card or like harsher punishment, they would award the red card and the player would be suspended. They did that, and still no suspension for Lo Celso, so he will be back ready and to play next weekend.
All right. I guess I'll talk about your team, Patrick. A very nice 3-2 decision. Actually, just a little side note here. Arsenal is now one of two teams undefeated in Europe, along with Bayern Munich, who have not lost yet in the year 2020. So congrats to them. Hopefully they'll get more W's than draws. However, they won 3-2 against Everton. At halftime it was actually 2-2. The young lad of Eddie Nketiah scored at the 27th minute. After Dominic Calvert-Lewin actually scored the first minute of the game.
That was an interesting one. They literally swung the ball in. I had just laid down to watch the game, and we got scored on. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me, man!"
I'm sure that was a surprise to you in the very least. But in the end, 3-2 victory for Arsenal. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang had 2 goals. A nice brace for him. I think Arsenal has really turned around since the beginning of the year.
Oh yeah, I think that's very big credit to Mikel Arteta. He's come in, he's given the players specific instructions. They were unaware in the past under Unai Emery about what exactly to do, what exactly how tactically they wanted him to set up. And with Arteta coming in, obviously he's not that experienced as a manager. He's been assistant manager to Pep Guardiola of Manchester City for the past 3 years. He's come in and he's absolutely hit the ground running. So I'm just hoping that we can keep this flow going and keep pulling out some wins.
Yeah, I was, kind of looking back at the week as a whole. I was kind of surprised with how many shutouts we had. I mean, Burnley versus AFC Bournemouth was a shutout. Crystal Palace versus Newcastle was a shutout. There was Southampton versus Aston Villa. That was another shutout. Leicester City versus Man City, another shutout. Man U, Watford, Wolves, Norwich City, all shutouts. And I was just kind of surprised with, I thought Arsenal and Everton, good decision by Arsenal there. Pretty commanding win, but definitely surprised the number of games that went without a response from other teams. Almost 6 of the games went out of about 10 that happened with no response from the other team. That's pretty surprising.
Yeah, it surely goes to the manager's strategic plan of trying to have a good back line of defense. And as you can tell, that happened with a lot of these games this weekend. Just to kind of move it on, the match of the hour, which ended probably an hour ago, was Liverpool and Max, your hammers of
Yeah.
West Ham. As you can tell in our voice, we are truly disappointed.
Gosh, come on.
So at one point, I think it was around 63 minutes, West Ham was actually up 2-1.
Until Mo Salah scores in the 68th minute.
Yes. And then guess what
The
happens?
dagger from Sadio Mane.
This man gets a
man.
brace for the day and a Liverpool victory.
I mean, since we're going to bring it up, I got to talk about my player of the week, which is going to have to be Trent Alexander-Arnold. And no, he's not on West Ham. He is on Liverpool. But young lad in England, only 21 years old, actually used to play for a couple of the minor clubs that sort of build up to Liverpool. Had several good assists, one of which leading into the goals that we were just talking about. I thought he did an incredible job all the way from defense, sort of moving up and putting the ball right where it needs to be in order to get put in the back of the net. So phenomenal job, although no, he's not a player for West Ham. Truly disappointing, but I got to give him credit where credit's due. So
I know any team, probably not only in the Premier League, but in the world, would love to have Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back for them in their squad. To see it, like, the potential is endless with this kid, and with him being a rival, it's kind of like I don't want to see him do good, but I also want him to do so well because with the immense amount of talent that he has. So I like your pick this week.
yeah, just incredible amount of talent, and only 21 years old. So new to playing in the big league, and I just think he's got a lot of room to grow. So I'm pretty impressed.
All right, so for my player of the week, he actually got the player of the week for his game, or the king of the match. I really hope I didn't take yours again. It's going to be Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Alba, the striker for Arsenal. I mean, to score one goal is pretty good. That usually warrants, probably man of the match if it's a low-scoring affair. But, in this game we had a 3-2 decision, and he had a brace. So I think just his creative play and executing Arteta's plan of attack and finishing on his opportunities, I think that warrants him some recognition of this week's player of the week.
Oh yeah, no, Aubameyang is doing exceptional. He's actually just leveled Jamie Vardy at top of the goal scoring tables with 17 on this season. Vardy, big miss in that Manchester City game. He hit the post early on and he could have put him up 1-0, but he's yet to score in 7 games, and that drought is continuing. I don't know when it's going to stop. But getting into my player of the week, obviously there was Aubameyang, who scored 2 goals, Diego Jota, who scored 2 goals, but I'm actually going to give it to Bernd Leno. Now, you may say this is an interesting pick or whatever.
It is, yes.
The Arsenal goalkeeper, in the 92nd minute, Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a one-on-one opportunity inside the 6 to preserve the lead at point-blank range. Bernd Leno saved the ball with his forearm, and we went on to win the game. So, personally, my player of the week, Bernd Leno. Another great game. Obviously, like, the 2 goals, defensive mistakes. He couldn't do much about it.
Not a whole lot of news this week as far as across the league goes. I've had some table updates. So, sitting in first, got Liverpool, followed by Man City, Leicester, Chelsea, Man U, Spurs, Tottenham Hotspurs, Sheffield United, Wolves, Arsenal, and rounding at number 10, we've got Burnley. All right, so since there's not a whole lot going on, we're going to start talking about Will's obscure transfer rumor of the week. Will, do you have anything for us?
I do. However, it's not going to be so much eventful as last week when I told you guys I had 4. I only have 2. So these 2 rumors are kind of like confirmations in a sense. So RB Leipzig striker Timo Werner, the young German, says he's confirms the rumors that Liverpool is interested in signing him during the transfer window. I really hope he doesn't go to Liverpool because Liverpool's already stacked. They don't really need anything else. But as we talked about earlier in previous podcasts, there is a German connection between Klopp in the Bundesliga with Werner in the Bundesliga. So we'll see how that pans out. And then another source that I have says that Paul Pogba is done, once out, and then their star goalkeeper, David De Gea, also wants out of the club too. So we have some controversy sparking up in the Old Trafford, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of the rumors coming out of Manchester. Basically, Paul Pogba has been on everybody's hot list. He's not really getting he's injured right now, but he's not really fitting into the system that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the Manchester United manager, is playing. He's not really having the creative freedom to go about and show his world-class play. With that being said, David De Gea, on the other hand, has had blunder after blunder earlier on in the season, only just now getting back to his top form. He's had 4 clean sheets in Manchester United, their last 4 games. So good for them getting back to their roots. But I feel like this whole question of if Manchester United cannot make it back to Champions League, they could see some of their biggest stars leave for teams that are in Champions League.
I think that can very well happen because, so for instance, we're talking about Man City being relegated to League 2. All those players are going to leave because they're going to miss out on big European play. And that's kind of a decision going to these big clubs. These big clubs are there to go to Champions League year in, year out. So like Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juve, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, PSG, those clubs, the players want to go to these big name clubs so that they play in European competition, win those leagues. So I can see that. I know, I'm sure he's frustrated because at least the past 2 years, Man U has been on a roller coaster ride. Let me tell you what, it's been more downs than ups, but they're slowly on their way up. So we'll see how that rest of the season goes for them.
All right, so next week we're not really looking at a whole lot of action in the league. We've got Watford, Liverpool. Watford going to be coming up on Liverpool. Kind of looking like they're doing pretty well, though, so I'm not too hopeful for the lads at Watford.
Watford's pretty much at the bottom of the table.
Watford is down in the relegation zone right now, so they're in desperate need of points.
We don't know because West Ham put up a fight against them today, and
West Ham is in relegation zones. Yeah.
Either way, we've got Tottenham Hotspurs playing Wolves. Wolves recently won, as we discussed earlier. And we've got Everton playing Man U. Man U also had a shutout against Watford, so we could see some upsets. We probably won't, to be honest, though.
Fingers crossed, though.
Either way. So to all our listeners, we will not have a podcast next week. It is Bridgewater College's spring break, which means the boys will not be in the studio and the Soccer Shack won't exist for a week. So we'll see you guys the week after. This is Max Weidman signing off. I'm in the studio with Patrick Garber, Will Hoffman, and the Soccer Shack. We'll see you late in March.
See ya.